Folks, if you look at those numbers, it'd be easy to go, no wonder you're screwed up. No wonder you're in the bottom. Well, what I'm going to tell you is this. If you're ever going to break that, you've got to make a difference with those kids. Now, I'll tell you, I looked at your numbers last night. I pulled you guys up. I pulled up all your high school. You guys are good. You guys are really good. With the vast majority of your kids. But like us, you've got issues you need to take on. Kids you need to reach and people you need to move forward. And one of the things that we began to say to ourselves is some is not good enough. It's all. What difference are you going to make with all students? Not some of them, but all of them. Now I'm going to also tell you that, and look at those demographics. We had teachers say we can't make a difference with these kids. Let me show you what happened. Go to the next one. The red is the state average on test scores. The blue is us, our scores. And the first bar you see there on the left is 2005. That was our first year scores. And we're still substantially behind the state average. But if you look what happened after that, we began to move past that. And in fact, by 2011, we were substantially above the state average. Folks, I retired that year, and for the next 4 years, it's continued to go up higher than that. I may have been the anchor holding it back. My point to you is this. Something changed. Something changed, and it changed at all levels. We began to hold hands and ask, what can we do? What can we do? We quit admiring the problem and said, what are the solutions? And that holding hands together provided us better input than we'd ever gotten before. I would tell you, our best solutions came from our teachers. Teachers that worked every day with our kids. Go to the next one. Hit it again. These are our designation for special ed. Our best solution from 2000, actually before 2000, through 2004, that if a kid wasn't doing well, we put him in special ed. That was our best answer for intervention. And at that point in time, 1 out of every 10 kids had been stuck into special ed. Folks, that number was growing, and if we stayed on that continuum, we would have been at 2 out of every 10 in special ed. But the moment we began to work together and talk about best practices, the moment we began to look at each other, we began to actually make a difference with kids. And at the high school level, we started having kids move out of special ed for the first time ever. It wasn't a lifelong sentence. We were making a difference. Hit the next one. Folks, from 2004, at the advent of our PLCs and our discussions and work together, we went from way up at 10.2 down to 6.3. I got to tell you today they're at 5.2 and falling still. It's a matter of what we can do to help those kids, how we can make a difference in their lives. Go to the next one. This was in the paper last May. We are on the Department of Education list of school districts to visit. We also are high school and our middle school are exemplary schools. Same kids, same effort, but the difference, what we changed, was ourselves. We began to ask what we can do. So I'm going to show you some of the things we did. Now, I want to tell you this right now. I am not passing out silver bullets. I am not passing out pills that'll answer everything. What I'm going to tell you is the things that we did and how we approach stuff, and I want you to put that within your own framework. I want you to think about what you do at this school or your school, in your team, in your department, how you can make a difference. That's the piece that we learned very quickly. I can't come here and say, just do this. But I can show you the things we did so you can begin to think how you might apply those things. Go to the next one. The risks and rewards in all this is that you have to take a look at yourself. And you have to say where you're good at, but you also have to look at the warts. And the warts are where you make the rewards. Those are the kids that need you the most. The kids where you can make the difference. Go to the next one. Begins with a vision. What do you want to become? And I have to tell you that being a high-performing school makes it even more challenging. Where can you make the difference? So we started with a vision that looked like this. Go to the next slide. We said, driving this change, we have to quit saying, yeah, but. By the way, this is my butthead slide. We had to move from but, yeah, but, to if we did that, what happens? And we really said, what if? What if we made this change? What would happen? Instead of, yeah, but. That's a big change for a lot of people. It's a big change. Rather than saying, we've always done it this way, we had to ask ourselves, what if we changed? What if we made this change? Go to the next one. So we started with this statement. It does not matter which teacher your student has at our school. All students in every class will learn a guaranteed curriculum at high levels. If your student needs extra time and support to learn at high levels, we guarantee he or she will receive it. Folks, that's a commitment to every parent. It's a commitment to every parent.
Yeah, here you go. There you go.
Let me tell you why that came about. In going through our classrooms, we had a cathartic incident. I visited some classrooms one day, and I walked in the first classroom. This teacher was amazing. She was dynamic. She was energetic. She had students engaged. Kids were learning right and left. It was an amazing piece. And then I looked over and I noticed something. Every kid in that class had the last name of a teacher in our district. I went to the next classroom, and it was a first-year teacher, and every kid in that class was brown. They were all Hispanic. They were all low-performing. I went in the third classroom, fourth-year teacher, mostly ELs and special ed. So I turned to the principal, I said, help me understand what's going on here. He looked at me and says, parent choice. Folks, if you did that on Wall Street, that's called insider trading. You go to jail. And it doesn't take a genius to figure out. Teachers knew where their kids were going to learn a guaranteed curriculum and actually get what they needed. So they made sure their kids went in there. But what that also signals is, our school was a lottery. Depending on which teacher you have, depending on what guaranteed curriculum you learn and how you perform. Now I'm going to tell you, my first year, fourth year teacher, they're great. They were going to be great teachers. But if they didn't get help, if somebody didn't sit down with them and show them things, they weren't going to get better. So my question is, does your school match that? Can you make that guarantee in your department, in every class, that regardless of who you're going to get, you're going to learn a guaranteed curriculum? Turn to your neighbor and tell them what you think. Tell them whether you think that you're there. One of the things I'm going to tell you is that we asked this simple question. Isn't this the commitment you'd want for your kid? If you're walking your kid up to the front gate of the school, isn't that commitment you'd want for that regardless of which teacher you're going to be in, you're going to learn what you need to learn? And by the way, if your kid's having problems, we're going to help you. We're going to step up and give you the time and effort you need. And it really became a cathartic event because at that point in time, we had to ask ourselves, is this about which teacher you have, or is this about attending our school? And if we're attending that school, shouldn't you be serviced by the Algebra 1 team? Shouldn't you be serviced by the English 9 team? The team that looks together and says, these are must-know, guaranteed curriculum for us. And by the way, we guarantee every kid that comes out of the English 9 or Algebra 1 or Bio will know the following. At a minimum, we know what they'll learn. Because what ended up happening, this is the big problem that we had. And maybe you've done this before. You looked at a kid and you said, who did you have last year? Who did you have? Folks, that's a problematic piece for us. We have to be able to say, by the way, we guarantee the kid's going to be prepared for the next teacher that gets them. So, and I hear people think, oh, you don't know, we got some really tough kids. Well, yeah, I do. We got really tough kids too, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to look for answers and hold each other. We've got to quit admiring the problem and work to solve it. Next slide. So, one of the things we got into, and this is a big one, we had to reform or transform. And I'm going to tell you, in my mind, when I think about you, it's very clear to me what you want to do. So, let's look at reform versus transform. Reform is what your state legislature does. They burn it down and they build something new. And every couple of years they burn it down and build something new. Have you ever worked with a principal that does that? Constantly changing? Let me tell you what happens. Pretty soon they burn it down and rebuild enough to reform where people go, this too shall, give it time baby, it's going to go away. You're going to break, melt it down again, and we'll start all over again. And what you find is people hunker down and they don't take advantage of the opportunities. I get that. So we told ourselves, we don't want to reform. We want to transform. And what transform says is we're going to take the best we do and we're going to move it forward. We're going to take the next step as to what we're going to make into something better. So here's my question. Are you reforming or transforming? Are you reforming or transforming? Which one has worked? Which one should you do at this school to get even better than you are? Turn to your neighbor and tell them what you think. I'm going to be very honest with you. We ask this question every time we look at something new. Are we reforming or transforming, or can we build this into what we do? Because anything short for that, I'll tell you, our brothers and sisters that have been through enough reforms, they become cynical and skeptical of every new reform. And I'm going to tell you, there's a dangerous spot in there, real dangerous spot, where guess what? We got to build on what's good. We got to take what we do and make it better. But I'm going to flat out tell you, start burning things down too many times, it will come back to bite you. It will come back to bite you. Go to the next slide. Brian, I need you to pull up the escalator. I've never done a presentation where I've got a guy that I'm... Okay, I want you to watch this video, and it's an analogy. It is a higher order thinking skill. I want you to watch this, and I want you to think what is going on as if these were a couple teachers. Go ahead, Brian.
That's not good.
Oh, we need this. I'm already late.
Somebody will come. Anybody out there? No. Sorry. Somebody! Hello? There are two people stuck on an escalator and we need help. Now, would somebody please do something? I don't believe this. You gotta be kidding me.
I'm gonna cry.
Well, it's not enough left to do, is it?
Working at the high school level, we used to ask ourselves, are we standing on the escalator or are we looking for solutions? Because the best solutions we ever found were in our own staff. Our own people had the best solutions, and by the way, gave us things that we had never even considered before. I'm going to tell you, the person that solves the problem the quickest is the one that's closest to it. But I'm going to be very, very honest with you. It is one of those things where we have to quit admiring the problem and see solutions. They were admiring the problem and waiting for somebody else to fix something that they had complete control of and the ability to fix together. When I look at PLCs, when I see people working together, what I'm going to tell you is it's about solutions. It's about seeking solutions and not admiring the problem. It's a critical component. Go to the next slide, please. Before I go much further, though, I need to talk about three guiding principles, three things that I and my school district and my schools adopted as guiding principles for us in the way we look at problems and the way we solve things. I have these three tattooed on my body here. Let me take my shirt off. Just sitting there if you were there. These three, I want you to think about it and see if these might work for you, or if you even believe in these. Hit the first one. Hope is not a strategy. Boy, I hope things get better. I hope the administration does something. I hope I get good classes this year. I hope they're disciplined. I hope they get their homework in. Folks, what I found is this. If we're using the word hope all the time, it means we really don't have a solid plan as to how we're going to get there. I don't know a football, basketball, soccer coach yet that hopes for a good season. They plan for a good season. They plan and they chart a path. I tell you, I have a deep faith in God, and I'm going to tell you, I don't hope there's a God, I have faith there's a God, and I chart a path there. It's the same thing. I don't hope my kids are going to learn. I have faith my kids will learn, and I chart a path as to how they're going to get there. Here's the second one. Don't blame the kids. Why is he here? Why is he in this group? He's flipping special ed. What is he doing in my class? You got to be kidding me. Why is he here? You got to be kidding. Look at everybody behind him. You can't believe they did that to you. Why is he here? You got to be kidding me. She doesn't even speak English. I don't even understand what she's saying. I think she's speaking English, but I don't understand her. You got to be kidding me. I had his brother. I know about his family. Your dad's still in prison? What do you expect me to do with him? He's been a discipline problem since the 2nd grade. They're still talking about you too. Folks, what I'm going to tell you is we can find a reason to discount any kid. I can find a reason to discount any kid. Now, there's secondary people, sometimes we get into a big, don't blame the kids. Are you kidding me? You kidding me? They don't turn in their work. Folks, I'm not talking about blame for not doing their work. I'm talking about blame how they came to you. I hold kids very accountable. I don't mess around with kids. There are expectations. I expect you to meet my expectations. But folks, I don't blame you for your color, your language, your poverty level. I don't blame you for your discipline. When you came to me, I find plans and ways to solve those. And I'm going to flat out tell you, your parents, they send you the best kids they have. They don't keep the good ones home. And so my point to you is, are you blaming or are you looking for a solution? Are you looking for where we can do with that kid? Because again, they don't send you, they don't keep the good ones home. Go to the next one. It's about learning. I violated this as a teacher. I have violated this as a teacher multiple times. The measure of what we do is at the end of every period, at the end of every day, at the end of every week, did they learn what we set out to teach? Do we know that they've actually learned it? And what I'm going to tell you is I have stood in the staff room and done this. I taught it, they didn't learn it. And I wish at that point in time somebody had called me on that. Because the measure of what I do should be whether they learned it or not. And I'm going to tell you, quite frankly, the act of teaching has to lead to learning. It has to lead to learning. Now, I'll also tell you that those 3 things up there, we've said those. We've put them on emails, we put them on memos, we did all this stuff, but it didn't matter one iota until we were willing to hold each other accountable for that. Willing to say to one another, guess what? I hear you blaming a kid. What can we do? And our catchphrase and what we told all staff members, you have permission to say to a fellow teacher, I hear your frustration, what can we do? I hear your frustration with this child, what can we do? I hear you're talking about that you taught it. What can we do to ensure they learn? And what we found is the moment we took it to that next level, when we began to live it and carry it on with each other, then good things happen. We made a difference. And folks, I want to tell you that throughout our process in doing this has transferred beliefs into actions. We said these things and did these things so much that by the time we got through with it, something magical happened. I'm walking through the cafeteria one day, the service person's putting food on a kid's plate. The kid walks up, she'd say, what'd you learn this morning? What's the kid say? Nothing. End of the line. Think about it. Next. Isn't that what a parent does? I said with my 2 boys at home, I used to say, hey, Travis, what'd you learn today? Nothing. Well, you know what? Let me get Mrs. Jones online, your algebra teacher, because you know what? If she's not teaching, we're having a problem. I'm going to get, no, call her, please. We learned something about slope. Oh, no, I'm going to call her right now. No. We learned about slope and how it can be changed. Okay, that's better. My point to you is that cafeteria worker was taking it to the next level. She was forcing those kids to remember that it's all about learning, because it's just not you thinking about learning, it's them thinking about learning too. It's them about understanding that too. And by the way, it's also up to them. At the high school, middle school level, hope is not a strategy for kids either. Quit hoping about your grade and do something about it. True? So I want to know what your plan is. That takes it to a new level. Now, I also need to tell you this. Those three things, we asked our staff to do the same thing I'm about to ask you. Why don't you turn to your neighbor and say, those resonate with you? Does that resonate with you? Do you believe in those? And by the way, do the people you work with believe in them? Could they be something that we could think as a standard for our belief system? Turn to your neighbor and tell them what you think about those three. I don't eavesdrop, but I have good hearing. And heard this out here. Well, hold it. If I can't blame the kids, can I blame the parents? Sure, you can blame the parents. You can blame all you want. I'm telling you, in 37 years of education, I've never changed a parent. I've corralled them, but I've never changed them. Well, then can I blame the teachers at the intermediate school? Sure, you can blame that. It's not going to help the kid today. And the intermediate, can I blame the teachers at the elementary? Sure, it's not going to change a thing for this moment. Folks, what I'm telling you is that I try to keep this as granular as I possibly can. And for this moment, what I'm going to tell you is the kid needs you. The kid desperately needs you. And I'm going to flat out, I'm smart to figure this out. I've done enough with junior high and high school kids. They growl. They growl at you, they give you dirty looks, they roll their eyes, and then as they step away, they say dirty things about you. But you know what? I'm going to flat out tell you, they need you. They need you regardless. I don't know what that is, but it must be important. So let's go to the next slide. I want to talk about a general plan for how this all works, and I want to take this again back to a granular level. When we start looking at districts that are doing and making huge progress, you've got some of these things in place. First of all, the development of professional learning communities. That is a constant development and deepening. The yellow box above that, we call that initiative box. It's the things that we're training on and continue to train on. That yellow box in my district, we made a commitment to the staff. We would continue to train on those things year after year. It would not be a one-shot deal. So when we said instructional norms and higher order thinking skills and EL emphasis, curriculum enhancement training, quality assessment, and the reliance on data, folks, we've done that for 16 years. Each year going deeper, but not changing. Have you ever done that thing where people come back in August, there's a new thing? I have to tell you, we're heavily union in California, and one of the things I met with the union president, and I said, here's the commitment we're going to make, we're going to train only in these things. She says, fat chance. Y'all change this thing up and go a different direction in a short time. And I said, well, you can call me on the carpet if we do, and we kept that promise. Year after year, training on the same things, going deeper and deeper and deeper. I have to tell you, I said I don't eavesdrop, but I have good hearing. I'm in the shopping cart market, and I'm pushing the cart along, and I'm listening to two teachers talk to another teacher from a district next door. And my teachers were saying, you know, we've been working on higher order thinking skills for the last 6 years. We're getting better and better at it. I wanted to cry. The fact that they could say we've been working on that continuously and not changing. We were transforming, not reforming. Now above that box, whatever we put in that box, we promise it will stay there, we'll get better at what we're doing. But above that is RTI, response to intervention. And all that is a philosophy that says we're going to put nets of intervention. So when a kid tumbles and falls, particularly at the secondary level, we have a way to pick them up and put them back in the race. Because you know and I know, a kid that falls off at junior high and high school, their graduation chances go plummeting. So we developed a philosophy and we built nets of intervention. Places to catch kids. That doesn't mean they have to be happy about it, but that means we're going to get them to graduate one way or another. But here's what we learned. See where it says common intent and aligned goals? We thought everybody knew what we were trying to accomplish. We thought everybody in the school knew what we were trying to do. It didn't work out so well. I'm sad to tell you is that an organization, school that doesn't know its goals, is a school with a lot of random acts of improvement going on, shooting off in different directions. I would also tell you this, I think about Alice in Wonderland. She's walking through Wonderland, she comes upon the Cheshire Cat, and she says, which road should I take? And the Cheshire Cat looks at her and says, Any road will get you there if you don't know where you're going. Any road will get you there if you don't know where you're going. And I keep that in my mind all the time, because guess what? If we don't know where we're going, then we will go anywhere. So here's what I want to do. This is a little exercise that I do with a high school staff. This is too big to do it in, but you'll get the gist of this. Normally what I do is I pass out Post-its. And I ask each person, each teacher at the school, to write the 3 top goals of the school down. One on each Post-it, as if they were talking to a parent. What are the 3 top things we're trying to accomplish at the school? Then I ask the principal to write them down. Now, to make this even more fun, I have the principal put theirs up on the wall. 1, 2, 3. And I ask the staff to come by, and if theirs matches the principal's, put it below it. But if it doesn't, we'll put it over here in this pile. So recently I was in Louisiana. I'm working with a high school, big high school, comprehensive high school. And I told the group to fill out the three Post-its. I told the principal, and then I said, all right, teachers, you're going to walk by and put those underneath the principals. I'm going to tell you, you saw a lot of big eyes. They were scared. The principal says to me, oh, they know, Rich, they know. They absolutely know my goals. They know exactly where we're going. And then when we did the exercise, less than 25% matched what the principal thought they were. That's an organization that doesn't know where it's going. That clarity allows them to see that road. So here's what I'd like you to do. Take a scratch piece of paper right there or on your notes. I want you to write in parent-friendly language, what are the 3 top goals of this school district? Of your school. The 3 goals of your school. And by the way, this is a no peeky, no talky. Do it without talking to your neighbor. Write the 3 goals as you understand them. Do that now. 1, 2, 3. 3 goals of your school. What are you trying to accomplish? All right, you got your 3 goals written down? With the people around you, share and see how close you are to agreement. See if you agree with your goals with the people around you. I'm going to tell you again, any road will get you there if you don't know where you're going, and clarity precedes competence. Until we clearly see what we're trying to accomplish, it's very hard to get good at it. Just listening to you right here, we had some people in agreement, some not. Important thing is, collectively as a team, can we see those goals very clearly? Can we make sure we're heading the same direction? So I'm going to show you my 3 goals. Brian, go to the next one. Go one more. These are from my high school. It's 3 simple goals. Raise all students' achievement, close the achievement gap between subgroups, and ensure a safe environment. We did those 3 because they were very, 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 very succinct, and people got that. They understood those. It made it very clear that, by the way, everything we do should lead us to that point. It also gave us the ability to clarify certain things we were doing. I told the elementary teachers about this instance, and it kind of applies here. I had a teacher come to me and she said, Rich, guess what? The Bat Lady's in town. The Bat Lady's here. It's gonna be great. Let's have an assembly with the Bat Lady. And I said, what are you talking about? Oh, 54 flying mammals. She'll bring those mammals in. It's a great assembly. In fact, she'll let one of the bats fly around the cafeteria. What did I say to her? Besides no, what did I say to her? You're right, absolutely. I said, how does it fit into our goals? She looked at it and she goes, I don't know. Then we're not doing the Bat Lady. We can't explain how it's helping us get there, then we shouldn't be doing it. Here's the other thing. 2 weeks later, I'm standing in front of the staff, and I said, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? It's PTA magazine sale time. Those happy ladies are going to come by and hawking those magazines right and left. What did the staff say to me? How does it fit into our goals? And I said, I don't know. And so we moved the magazine sale during our announcement period only. We asked the ladies to ensure that they had enough people to get into every classroom. In other words, what I'm telling you is I cannot take instructional time for something that doesn't help us achieve our goals. It gave a clarifying factor to everything we did. Within the departments, it had a clarifying factor. Why are we doing this? But I want to point out something else. It helped us look at our initiatives more clearly also. Ryan, go to the next slide. Go up one more. We were able to take the initiatives that we had done, we're implementing in our school, and said, how do these fit in? And we put it in a graphic organizer form. In other words, PLC collaboration is designed to raise all students' achievement and close the achievement gap. You can make an argument all the way across, but those are the main reasons. Discipline standards and rules to ensure a safe environment. RTI program, Response to Intervention program, was for the same thing as PLCs. Our attendance incentive program at the high school level was designed to close the achievement gap because guess who was not coming to school? Our subgroups. PBIS, positive behavior intervention supports, the positive things we did in our school to make sure that kids were learning. We made sure that people understood that that was designed to help us with ensure a disciplined, safe environment. And then finally, engagement walkthroughs. That's teachers walking through each other's rooms and helping to coach one another. We made sure that that was clearly marked in there. So my question is this. Do your initiatives fit? Do you have clear goals, and can you say, this is why we're doing this? This is why we do PLCs. This is why we do RTI. This is why we do discipline and standards. Is it clear? Not for just you, but everybody. Turn to your neighbor and say, would this help? Would this help clarify a few things? Have that quick discussion.
That's a quick discussion for us. What if I could ask you that? Would you do it? Yeah, I'll just put it under one of our goals. Go right to the goals. Right. Where does it fit?
It's there. Okay, somebody wants to do it. It's something that's there. One of us needs to do it. Who's going to do it? Who has time?
Ryan, go to the next slide. Go another one. Go one more. There. At the secondary level, we always like to make things more complicated. And so in this is Laredo. In this case, they put the mission statement up above. They put their goals, and you'll notice their goals are different. Accelerate learning, increase opportunities for school and community, and ensure a safe and healthy environment. Then they put their things below it, but then they also listed a little more detail. Folks, you can take this as deep as you want, but what we found was, when we have that, it makes a big difference for the vision of the school. You understand the goals and the programmatic supports for those goals. Can I point out one other thing, though, very, very succinctly? You ever had a new principal? What we learned was this, that if our staff came together and we developed this, it gave us consistency from year to year. Each year in May, we reviewed this document, and in August, it was the first document we looked at. That way, we didn't get whole-scale changes over the summer, but moved us forward through what we were trying to accomplish. We were able to be consistent from year to year. Instead of just thinking of ourselves as a one academic year deal, now it was multiple academic years. And when we had a new principal, the first thing the staff did was present them with this. Here are the goals and the programmatic supports of our school. It provides that basis for us to stand on. Without that, you have a tendency to float all over the place. If it's not documented and put down, people can move things to places you can't believe. And so consequently, as we worked forward with this, as a collaborative team, we had a clear understanding of what we were trying to accomplish and how we were trying to accomplish it. So my question before I leave this piece and we go to the next big piece, do you have that clarity? Does every person on your staff see not only what the goals are, but how we're supporting the goals? And for you department people, you content specialists, within your department, can you tell how you're backing your goals? What are you doing in your department to back the goals that your school is trying to accomplish? What explicitly, programmatically are you trying to do? Have that quick discussion, then I'm going to move on.
I support whatever we do. Right.
Ryan, go to the next slide. All right, come on back. Come on back. So if we know the goals that our school is heading towards, if we know what we're trying to accomplish, the next thing I'm going to tell you is if I were to show up at your school, I would want to look at your school through 6 lenses. This big square is your school, and it's heading towards those goals that you've outlined. And if I were to come, I'm going to look at 3 lenses above the green line and 3 lenses below the green line. First, above, structure. Does your school have a structure that makes sense, that's allowing you to reach your goals? Is that structure clear to all staff members? Sure, you've got structure and you've got principal, vice principal, department heads, PLCs, PLC facilitators, you have all those structures. But the question I ask, particularly high school people, is this. What's the decision-making structure at your school? How are decisions thought out, fleshed out, and input gathered in a structural manner? Or is it just the principal's picture and that is the structure? Is there a clear structure that everybody can note and put down? Because those structures are critical to the function of that school towards reaching those goals. The second thing I'm going to ask you is operationally. Do the operations of your school help you achieve your goals? And what I'm talking about is this. Does your master schedule help you achieve those goals? Does your daily schedule help you achieve those goals? Does your schedule of meetings help you achieve those goals? Or do they get in the way? I'll give you for instance. I'm in Nebraska back in October. And I go to this high school, and one of the problems that they have is they got a 25-minute morning break. 25-minute morning break. And let me tell you, that 25-minute morning break, lots of problems. Kids disappearing, lots of turmoil, just absolutely crazy. And so I asked the staff, what do you think of the 25-minute break? And they said, we hate it. We absolutely hate it. So I went to the principal, I said, this 25-minute break in the morning, how's that working for you guys? I hate it too. So I asked him, if everybody hates this, and operationally it's not helping you, why don't you get rid of it? He says, we don't know how to change the bells. Folks, sometimes we do silly stuff because of those type of things. We don't know how to change it. Or, by the way, here's one that's even worse. It's what we've always done. In those cases, you have to ask yourself, if it's not helping us, then what can we change? Those are what the things I want you to consider. On the other side of this is strategies, and we showed you those strategies. If you have the goals, you can lay your strategic programs out underneath it. Folks, see the stuff above the green line? Every school in America has those things. Either good or bad, but every school in America has those things. The thing is, are those being modified and changed? Are they being worked in so they help you achieve your goals? Are they being reviewed? Or is it just always what we've done? But what I really want to hit in is the stuff below the green line. Because the stuff below the green line is what makes a school great. Information. Do you get the information you need to do your job better? Do you get the calendar, the schedule, the course offerings, your syllabus? Do you get the information you need to do your job better, or you have to go figure it out? Do you get the student data that helps you see your kids more clearly, or do you have to run around and figure it out? Worse yet, are you surprised by the information? Excuse the interruption. We have the bat lady for an assembly. Bring your kids down now. Is information, do you have access to the information to do your job better? Or do you spend time and energy hunting it out? Now before I let you talk about that, let me tell you a little for instance. When I first started teaching, I'm 22 years old, I show up at the high school, Oakland Tech. I say to him, I'm here to teach. She goes, here's your keys, here's your books, your room 16 down the hallway, here's your roster. I go down to my room, I'm standing there. Custodian walks by, he goes, Senor, you don't know what you're doing, do you? No, they didn't tell me anything. He says, Senor, Go down and see Roberto. Go see Bob. Bob will tell you everything to do. I said, Bob? He goes, yeah, he's a teacher. He's 2 doors down. Go see him. I said, go see Bob? Go see Bob. So I walk down. Hi, are you Bob? Can you tell me what's going on? He says, come in here. This is how it works. Here's attendance. This is how the daily schedule works. This is what goes on here. Everything that you need to know. He's told me everything. Saved my life. Every morning I go to Bob. Bob, what's happening today? He'd say, this is what's going to happen. This is how it works. Here's the scary thing. Everybody went to Bob. The principal went to Bob. Bob, what's going to happen here today, man? Bob was our informal source of information. He knew it all. And even if he was wrong, he was better than not having it. And then you know what happened? 2 years later, Bob retired. The school went into complete meltdown. Because there was no formal places to where we knew how to get information. So my question to you is, do you get the information you need to do your job better? And do you get it formally or informally? Turn to your neighbor and tell them how that's working for you. Not that I'm critical, but I tell you, I was talking about Bob and I was looking back and there was one group pointing at this guy. Folks, that happens. It happens on campus. My point to you is, do you have that source of information that comes to you that allows you to do your job better? I would also tell you the other side of the house is not getting information, is getting too much information. And I'm about to admit something. I was a principal when email started. Oh, it was wonderful. Anytime I had a great idea, I sent an email out. And I had about 5 or 6 a day. And pretty soon what happened is I'd go to staff members and I'd say, did you get my email on discipline? Staff would look at me and go, which one? In fact, it got so bad, the staff had an intervention for me. They trapped me in a corner. And what they said is, if you send out one more email, we're going to hurt you. The staff looked at me and said, look, Rich, here's how it works. You send one email out on Friday, you use bullets, and no more than 3 sentences behind a bullet, we promise we'll read it. Anything other than that, we're not reading. Okay, that works for me. And let me tell you what happened. We went from thousands of emails flooding my teachers to one email. They actually read it and knew what was going on, and guess what? We went from 2 staff meetings a month to 1 a month to 1 a quarter. Suddenly a giant hook came out and grabbed me and pulled me off stage. Here's what I'm going to tell you. We began to realize this, that if information is succinct and pointed and people know it, and by the way, the accountability is what? If you don't read it and I find out, then we'll go back to doing it the old way. But what we found is reciprocal. If I did my part, they did their part. And that was fair, and I appreciate that. It worked really, really well. The staff held each other accountable as well. Now I want to talk about one other thing, data. I hear lots of times, data-driven, data-driven, data-driven. And I appreciate that more than I can tell you. But in the state of California, and I don't know if it's any different here, at the high school level, if a kid takes a state test in your grade level, we give 12 sheets of paper telling him how he did. Our average contacts at the high school level and at the junior high is 160 contacts, times 12. Basically, that's War and Peace. It's about that thick. And what I'm going to tell you is, I get it. Teachers didn't read all through that stuff. It was too difficult to look at. There was too much data. We call that DRIP, data rich and information poor, because they couldn't make sense of it. Brian, hit the next slide. So let me show you what we did. And this is an example of it. I think this is the 5th grade, but it works in the high school too. What we did is we put the standards across the top, and then what we said is if the kid had mastered it, he gets a green. If he's approaching, he gets a yellow, and if he's way off, he gets a red. Now this is from a test that's given early in the school year to all the students at each grade level and each course. Can I point out, look at that close. Do you see a standard that we don't need to teach? See it right there? It's the 5th one over. Look at how green it is. We've got some touching up with a couple kids, but guess what? We got that down. We didn't waste time. Look at a couple standards where we're not doing so well. Those are writing standards, those 3 over there, and let me tell you, we got some problems there. We're not writing very well at all. We need to really work on that. Now folks, look across, going across this way. Do you see a student that's really struggling? About the 3rd one down, and Liz has got almost all red across. She has got big time issues. By the way, she's bilingual, and we need to do something for her. Do you see a kid that's doing very, very well? It's Victoria. She's about 2/3 of the way down. She's mostly green. She still has writing problems, but she's mostly green. Can I tell you something? We transfer our data into forms like this. The reason we did that? Well, I'll tell you. How long did it take us to do that analysis? 30 seconds? 40 seconds? We did it like that. If I strip the color out of there, how long would it take you? If you're a high school teacher, junior high teacher, that's seeing 140 to 160 contacts and the data's put like this, it becomes very clear by period where you're at, what you need to accomplish. The moment you strip the color out, the information becomes foggy. We want that information, that data to be clear so teachers can make good, informed decisions without spending 26 hours bubbling, coloring it in with their own felt pens. That's what I'm talking about, is beefing up information. Brian, I need you to go back now. Information is a huge component to making your school run better. The next one is relationships. Hey, I've got a news flash for you. Do you know adult drama sometimes causes problems at school? I didn't think that happened here, but adult drama becomes a big time problem. And I'm going to tell you, the relationships between us and how we work together, oftentimes guided by that. That's a scary proposition. I would tell you that, and I'm going to boil this down to my simplistic thinking, there are 3 types of relationships on a campus. There's the buddy, I love you. Oh, you know, it's so fun to work with you. I'll make decisions that you make you happy. You make decisions that make me happy, okay? We'll be happy, yeah. Then there's the buddy, I hate you. I'm going to screw you over every chance I get. Okay, you want to do something? I'm going to fight that every step of the way. You got it? You understand? And we go back and forth trying to mess each other over all the time. The 3rd one is a professional relationship. Now, I'm going to flat out tell you, professional relationship? Okay, act like a professional? What the heck does that mean? How do we define that? And what I find is this. If I define it as the principal, it doesn't help. So what I ask my staff to do is, let's help me define professional behavior, a professional relationship. What's a professional relationship? So we're going to do this little activity real quick. I want you to think of 3 adjectives, attributes, or descriptions of what you would want to find in a professional relationship. What would be the adjectives or attributes of a professional relationship? Just jot it down. 3. Think of 3. 1, 2, 3. Things you'd want to see in a professional relationship, the attributes you'd want to see. All right, listen close. Listen close. You got your 3 written down? I got a question for you. Out of this audience, did anybody put the word friend down? Sometimes I see friendly or I see amicable, but in 7 years of doing this, I've never seen the word friend. Because I'm going to tell you, a professional relationship is not about friendships, it's about task. It's about task. How many people had the word respect down? How about honesty? Collaborative or sharing? How about listening? Folks, do you see what's happening? I'm going to contend this, and I want to make sure you understand this. That at the beginning of each year, my staff sits down and we do this activity. I have everybody put 3 words down to describe a professional relationship. And then what we do is we take those and we put them up so everybody can see what the staff put down. And then I say this. These are the words that define how we wish to be treated on this staff and the way we expect to treat others on this staff. These are the words that matter most to us when it comes to professional. And if you're willing to uphold this and support this so that we can build a professional relationship with each other, I want you to bite your finger, make a little blood, and come up and put it on the poster. And I'm going to tell you, my staff would go up and they would sign the poster, say committing to treat one another that way with the expectation that that's how they wish to be treated. It makes a huge, huge difference. It allows us to move forward in a way that we've never been able to move. Now that doesn't mean you can't be friends on staff. I get that. But the moment you step across the threshold and you begin to work together, then it's got to be a professional relationship. And the friendship's got to be put on the back, and we have to make good decisions. So let me show you how this works. Say your name for me again. Georgia, you're really ticked at him. You're really mad at him. Really, really bad, huh? I'm your principal. Georgia, can I see you for a second? Georgia, you've been a staff member for a long time in the staff. You've done some great work. And today when I was walking by the room, I heard you were really angry. You were really raising your voice and yelling at, what's his name? Chris. Hey, Chris. Why were you so mad at Chris?
Chris is just slacking off. I mean, he wants me to do everything, and I don't know what to do.
What's wrong with you? You know, Georgia, I heard you're really upset. You're really raising your voice. Do you remember at the beginning of the year when we made that poster that talked about the professional behaviors we wanted to see? You remember that? Well, one of those that was said was respect. And the moment you start yelling at him, the respect begins to diminish. I want to help you with that. How can I help you in the future when Chris starts doing that sort of thing?
I think we should just help get everybody on the same page, which would be nice. And our PLC time, giving us enough time to be able to work through some of those things would really help a lot.
Okay. And you know what? I get that. And I think that's something we can plan and work for. I want to support you in this. But next time Chris bugs you like that and you feel like, I want you to step away. I want you to think about professional behavior. And if you need support, I want you to come for me and let me help you, okay? Great. All right. Thank you. You're welcome. Let's play this out a different way. Georgia, come here. Georgia, what's going on with you and Chris? I'm walking by your room and I'm hearing you go nuts. I told you not to yell at people. Do you understand? You know what? I don't care. What's happening? Say it. Guess what? I'm crossed the line. I'm not being professional. And what I'm going to tell you is this. If we made that chart, guess what? I'm upheld to the same standards as everybody else. And I have no right to yell at her that way and treat her that way. What I want her to say to me is this. By the way, Rich, remember our professional chart? It takes me back the other way. It reminds me of what's important. It gives me something I can stand on. And by the way, Chris is really good at jerk, huh? Yeah, look at her, she's backing him up. Chris didn't know this would happen to him. Here's what I'm going to tell you. My point is this. Defining that professional behavior gives us something to stand on. Georgia, thank you very much. I want to talk for just a little bit about the last lens up there, identity. The other night when I checked in, last night when I checked in at the Hampton Inn. When I check in, I always do this. I walked up to the gal and I said, I'm Rich Smith, and she said, here's your thing. And I said, I'm brand new to the area. What's the best junior high in this area? Guess what? She told me. She told me. She also told me the best elementary school. She told me the best high school. And I looked at her and I said, you don't look old enough to have kids at all. She goes, no. I said, did you go to one of those? No, I didn't go there. Then how do you know that? Well, I've heard. What I'm going to tell you is this. Identity is what we believe about ourselves. But that identity splashes out from our words and actions. And what I'm going to tell you, she's heard that somewhere. And at a high school and a junior high, what I'm going to tell you is, usually it comes from you, to your kids, to your parents, and out in the community. It also comes from any time you talk about your school. If you go to the barbershop and you sit down and say, we suck at my school, I can guarantee you that will go out into the community and come back to bite you. I can guarantee it. Let me give you for instance. When I first started, I worked with Compton High School, downtown LA, a very, very tough school. And I asked the staff to do this. Give me 3 words that describe Compton High School. And we did it on Post-its. I own stock in 3M, that's why I use Post-its all the time. So we got the Post-its and we put them up and we strand them up to show what people said. The number 1 word they used to describe their high school from the staff was ghetto. The second word they used, caring. We're a caring ghetto school. I'm going to tell you what the danger is in that. Anytime you use the word ghetto, it creates a stereotype that hits deep. And I'm going to flat out tell you, anybody that hears you say that or use that word, it creates an identity that's tough to get over. And my thing to the staff is, why do we believe this? Well, the school's dirty and there's people hanging around. Then let's fix that. But can we agree that as we fix this, we will not use that word? That word does not take us. It's not who we want to be. And my thing to them is, who do we want to be? Well, we want to be caring and competent. We want to make sure we're successful. Then guess what? Let's use those words to describe ourselves and back it up by our actions. And so consequently, what I would tell you is, with my staff, I would do this periodically. I'd ask them, give me 3 words to describe our staff. Give me 3 words to describe our school. Give me 3 words to describe our kids. And what we learn very quickly is the words we use carry a huge impact on the identity. Right off the top of your head, do me a favor. Turn to your neighbor and give them 3 words to describe your school right now. Your 3 words. Do that now. I can guarantee you this. I go to all sorts of high schools, junior highs around the nation. I go there all the time. And here's the scary thing. I walk into schools and I see the words, School of Champions, School of Academic Excellence, School of Friendly, Loving Environment. But oftentimes, those words up there don't match what we believe our identity is. And what I'm going to tell you is, oftentimes doing a check and seeing where our identity is, what we believe, gives us insight as to what we need to attack. I would also tell you, those people that are in your departments or your grade levels teams, do that with yourselves. What's the identity of the Spanish, the foreign language team? What's the identity of the science team? What you're going to find is oftentimes everybody doesn't agree. They may look at a negative. Keep that in mind. So folks, see this up here? I would tell you high-performing schools, schools that are functioning and moving towards their goals, have all 6 lenses moving in the positive. Departments and PLCs that are working well do all 6 lenses they focus on. But I can tell you this, the work above the green line can only be supported if the work below the green line is there. Let me give you for instance. I live in a PLC, it's called marriage. We have a structure in my marriage, it goes my wife, the kids, the dog, and me. We have operational things we do. When we wake up, when we take the kids to school, when we have dinner, we have lots of operational things that we do. In fact, we have strategies as well. How we save money, how we raise the kids, lots and lots of strategies in our marriage. Every relationship has those. But what makes my relationship, my marriage PLC function, is what happens below the green line. Information. I call her every morning and every evening, and I tell her what she needs to know, and she tells me what I need to know. We go back and forth and back and forth, and by the way, it's honest, timely, and it gives us the information we need to keep our relationship strong. I've been gone 14 days. I'm going home Wednesday night. I'm pretty happy. But I also want to tell you this, there is a huge basketball game on Wednesday night that I'm dying to see. Now, if I walk in the house and say, hey baby, I'm going to sit here, I'm going to watch this game for a few minutes, I'll be right back with you. I sit down, first there'll be a homicide. Then she's going to drag that hassock over, she's going to sit in front of me, she'll say, talk to me. Because folks, relationships, they're built face to face. They're not built through a memo, they're not built from an announcement, they're built face to face. And that face-to-face is where we make the biggest impact. Green line. How often should you work below the green line? Turn to your neighbor and tell them, how often should you work below the green line? Brian, you have to stand on top of this. So here's what I'm going to tell you. That below the green line work is where you make the biggest difference with your team. I want you to think about those elements, because those elements, no matter what you do, makes a difference. Can I tell you one other thing? And this is one I learned the hard way as a high school teacher. I did a pretty good job in my classroom. I ensured that kids learn. And by the way, in my classroom, I looked at those lenses as well. I had structure in my classroom, I had operations, and I had strategies working. But I also had information on those kids. And I built relationship, a teacher-student relationship. And also I had an identity in my class. The identity in my class, you come in here, you're going to learn, you're going to work. And I pushed those constantly. And then I got sick, and a substitute came in. What happens to a substitute when they walk in? It doesn't go so well. But hold it. I left them the structure. I left them the lesson plans. I left them the operations. But folks, guess what? The substitute teacher doesn't have the information, relationships, or identity with the kids, and therefore it goes badly. Keep that in mind. It's oftentimes the difference between those classrooms that are functioning, where kids are learning, and those classrooms that aren't. Is that work below the green line with your kids as well? It's any group of people working together. So now we're going to move more into nuts and bolts of PLCs. When we implement any new program, there are stages of learning. It's the same stages your kids go through. So when we implement PLCs, the first thing that has to happen, Brian hit it, is learning. You've got to learn about it. You've got to learn the ins and outs. You've got to see how it works. Brian hit it again. The next phase, you've got to do it literally. You've got to have a